Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another LPL playoff preview show for 2020 summer. I am Hysterics. It is a pleasure to still be here, still be working, and haven't been fired yet after all the shenanigans I've said during the regular season. I have to introduce you to my desk because we're not at a desk, we're at a nice cafe. We've taken residency here thanks to, I don't know, EDG being the neighbours. I think LNG were once here as well. Are LNG still here, Teddy?
No, but actually, Nice Cafe is based on a name with EDG's dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you guys actually know EDG got a really cute little dog? And
Yeah.
I've never seen it though.
Yeah, that's why this place called Nice Cafe. So we need all thanks to Nice.
Oh man, that's good. Sorry, I should introduce. There's Teddy at the end from the Chinese broadcasters, very special guest here today, and we've got Lyric and Dagda as always. And gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have you here. This season has been hectic, maybe not as hectic as spring, but starting with you, Teddy. I mean, you've been casting quite a bit as usual.
Yep.
Seeing you in the makeup room quite often these days, and it's been a pretty hectic split.
Yeah, but it's much easier than spring split because we have a much longer split this season, and we have more casters than you guys do. So each of us are not that hard to cast this season, and I'm really enjoying this season. It's pretty good.
It hasn't been. I don't think boring is the right word to use because we've had a lot of interesting games. Looking at me like that, I'm saying the opposite of boring.
Exactly, I agree. I mean, this split's definitely been the furthest from boring. Teams like Rogue Warriors, teams like V5, you know, my team. But yeah, we've had a lot of interesting games.
Honestly, I'm just really happy we don't have 3 series every single day like we did in spring. I actually get to sleep and catch up on the games properly, so that's pretty nice.
I mean, that's a nice thing, right? For you guys, at least, you've got a lot of different casters, as you said.
Yep.
So you can enjoy the games when you have time off when you want to.
But we still need cast like LCK and some of the guys.
You do both.
Yeah, I do both.
And you recently went on the POG stage. I shouldn't be advertising other podcasts while I'm here, but you went on the POG stage as well.
Yeah, because I'm the only guy that they know who casts LCK in China. They don't know anyone else.
But you do so much. I don't know how you keep up with 2 leagues.
Like, I've been doing 3 leagues back in 2016.
3?
Yeah. Back
We're
in
doing
2016.
LMS?
No, that's LCS, LEC, back in LCS EU back in days.
Yeah.
I'm doing 3 leagues back in 2016, and I've been doing like 2 leagues from 2017 until now.
I tell you what, we're kind of like rookies now. We're
Yeah, I
complaining
know.
about only having 4 of us doing LPL.
So I have to do a whole league by myself.
You have to do
It's
LCK
hard.
too.
Because back in days, there's not that much caster, and my record was like cast 10 straight in a row, 10 days in a row.
Oh well, I definitely feel like crap now. Well, Teddy, we're going to move forward. It's a pleasure to have you here because LPL again has been a large season one where we now have 4 seeds working towards Worlds.
Yep.
We've asserted our playoff teams, our top 8. But just talking about the split in general, it has been very entertaining for the sense that we've had a lot of high rises. You know, teams like Rogue Warriors making a miracle run. You know, we talked a lot about Vici on broadcast as well, and I think there was a lot of unexpected teams making top 8 very early on that maintained their course as well.
Yeah, and I definitely think of as you said, a lot of teams stepping up, and particularly like Vici looking really, really good as they kind of grew over the course of the year under Coma, and then I was honestly super surprised, especially for Zika on that squad. Like Zika really started to come in towards kind of like a top 8 mid laner at the end of the split because he was starting to really take on new form when we got towards the end, especially working in conjunction with Ike's or Leanne. I thought they looked really well.
You also mentioned teams, securing their spot kind of early on. A team that jumps up to me is LGD. I honestly feel like LGD really are locked into playoffs because of the wins they secured in the first few weeks. Been a bit shaky since then, and they're definitely feeling good because of that.
Good to see them breaking the curse. How many years has it been, Teddy?
That's like 16, 17, 18. That's like 4 years. After 4 years, the first time they chase player off.
Yeah, which is incredible, right?
It's incredible, and it's good for them because finally all the pay went back.
Yeah, I mean, after 2015, World's performance was it where, LGD kind of.
I'm a bit worried for them though that they're going to get into playoffs and all the fans are like, "We did it, we made it," and then they just instantly out. It's going to be so heartbreaking.
Because for LGD fans, finally, they get a team to cheer for. Peanut coming over was a big significant factor. We will talk about them individually as we go through today's show and run through all the playoff teams. I also want to mention that this time around, the cap to secure playoffs was a lot higher. In spring, it was 9 wins. This time around, it was 10. It was actually like a fiercer battle to hold those spots. And I think it was more so teams like BLG, Rogue Warriors, RNG rising later in the split that made it so hard to pick up those wins.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, well, as you said, there was a couple teams that were kind of making those runs. Like Vici was in there, EDG was in there, BLG, RNG. And even when we look at our top 8, I think back in spring, if I remember correctly, like we kind of had figured out who at least was our top 6, and it was the last 7, 8 who was going to be there.
Yeah.
But it's the entire way down. We're like waiting until those last couple of games to figure out where was JDG, Top Esports, where were they going to place, who were we going to have in our bottom 8, who was going to fit into that 4th, 5th place. So it's been crazy those last couple of weeks.
Crazy good word to put it. Do you think it was a better overall split in terms of skill, Lyric? Like, was it
Oh yeah, I mean,
high caliber?
when I looked at spring, honestly, I knew JDG was going to win like playoffs. Like it was so easy to look at JDG in spring, and be like this team's going to win for sure.
Yeah.
When you look at this split, I honestly have no idea. You look at IG, you look at Top Esports, you look at JDG, all of them potential winners. Even V5 and Suning, I feel like are a cut above like even teams in other regions. Like I can honestly see Suning or V5 in NA or EU and winning their league. So
Really?
yeah, I think the skill in LPL right now is actually insane.
Yeah, because back in spring split, there's a team called Victor 5 can't win anyone. That's like there's only 16 team
Yeah.
in LPL because everybody can beat Victor 5, and it's much easier to get in playoff if there's only 16 teams. But in summer, Victor 5 are coming back.
We got
They're much
17?
stronger, and we just become 17 teams, so it's much harder to get.
And
in
teams
playoff.
like LNG, getting some surprising moments. DMO had individual game wins within their best of 3s, which was, sometimes impressive.
Xiaopeng was amazing.
Xiaopeng
Yeah.
is hard stuck on DMO.
Kira
Yeah.
is amazing sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Xubin is
He's
you
a
see-
nice guy.
Xubin is really good on the first game versus
Yeah.
EDG.
The Aphelios game, right?
Yeah.
The Aphelios, right?
Yeah, that's really good. But
But-
after that, he lost himself.
Yeah.
Did you know, Jordan and I, did you see this as well, Dagda? We put out a segment, we called it the Golden Y4s, and our silver award was Schubin's Caitlyn on the Nexus,
I think people are being a bit unfair to him because, like, everyone knows the Nexus has a super small hitbox.
Yeah.
It's actually really hard to
Yeah,
click
yeah.
on it, so
So
I don't
small.
really blame him. It's kind of hard.
It was,
And that guy is really unlucky because when I checked the replay, that was like 70% critical on Caitlyn with 6 auto attack with 0 critical hit.
Oh,
really?
wow.
Yeah, that's pretty unlucky. That's
Yeah.
pretty unlucky.
unlucky is a good word.
Because I think Xubin make a really right choice. He want to like take down their AD carry first and then finish the game, but he can't imagine he didn't get any critical shot.
Yeah, and then the Nexus,
That's so sad.
11 HP on Nexus. All it needed was one more auto
I mean,
attack.
even the support could have been, even the Lux could have been
Anyone.
next to
Yeah.
honestly, like,
Yes.
It's crazy the way that game ended. So it's enough to see these bottom tier teams, being competitive with the likes of FPX and like LNG rising towards the end of the split was a nice surprise too. But we need to go forward and talk about some of our other top tier teams and the teams that we had expectations for. Let's start with the Glads and Sads now on the English broadcast, and a lot of the time when we're prepping behind the scenes, we do a lot of talking about our Glads, Sads and Mads. That's how we evaluate ourselves. Starting with the Glads here, I thought I'd bring it in and start with V5. I think everyone can say that V5 going from 0-16 to 11-5 finish is the thing to be glad about at the top of the list, right?
I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna let it over
I'm
this
gonna
way.
say, I knew it was going to happen the whole time.
Oh,
I said in spring that V5 would make playoffs.
Are you one of the believer of PP God?
Actually, yes, but my belief for Mole, oh god, it's not good.
Oh,
So-
so you are on Mo's side.
Yeah.
Well, so you know that Lyric on the English side, they've been talking about him being the Messiah, is the word, right? The person that leads the group, like leads
Yeah, I
the
know, I
faithful.
Yeah.
That's me.
And-
I said in spring, in summer, V5 will make playoffs. Yeah, but of course, dude, this team is mold. This team is way is like one of the best junglers in the LPL. Super happy with this team.
I'm actually disappointed you're not wearing your V5 jersey, to be perfectly
about it.
honest.
I thought about wearing my V5 jersey.
He bought V5 and RNG jerseys the other
Yeah,
day.
I saw the RNG kid yesterday.
Yeah. Good day for it as well. At the very least, though, you had a lot of belief in V5, and I think Mole being at the center of that development's great, but PP God and Sam D especially. The bottom lane came out of nowhere. Now, they're not the strongest bottom lane in the LPL, but still individually, 2 versus 2, they sit in top 8 at the very
They are
least,
really
right?
stable.
Yeah,
They're really
stable, a good word for it.
And lots of game people forgot how can they play their lane phase that better.
Yeah.
Like they always push the lane and make Wei have space to get in
Yeah.
opponent's jungle, and that's what they do most. And PP got a really good at engaged champion, such
Yeah.
as Thresh,
Yeah.
like
Bard.
Things like his
Yeah.
Bard,
I honestly feel like Wei Wei and PP Gon have the best jungle support synergy in LPL right now. The best. I don't think there's any team where at least jungle and support together.
I will vote for Paula and Nick.
Oh.
That was a close one.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's actually it's very hard. And once upon a time, like looking at Baolan and Ning when we were back in 2018, we'd probably be saying something towards the same thing. Before we finish with V5, because we will talk about them running into the playoff situation and how they're going to face off against FPX a little bit later. But now that you mentioned someone like Ning and Baolan, IG in another sense were another Glad on my list. That was a bit of a surprise because Baolan came in, and that wasn't 2019 Baolan. That wasn't the worst version. It was the best, and suddenly IG went on an 7-win streak to finish the split.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is that with Baolan coming back in, this team has looked so much better. And especially, I know the game yesterday with Vici was a little bit crazy. I'll give it that one. But it did highlight just how important it is to have Baolan working with Ning because Southwind is just posted in that bottom lane. He is not going to move from bot side. So you need Baolan there, especially when you're going against top esports and JD Gaming, to start working in this Ning and Baolan duo to make that game work for them.
And Puff even still looks, decent enough too. I think.
I was watching because they put out these like vlogs on YouTube and they actually give English subtitles for us, which is like great. And I'm surprised how much Puff talks. Like Puff actually is a big voice in communication and team. It's funny because me and Rob were talking about it yesterday. Puff is calling out targets in team fights. But the Shy and Rookie are never around. So he's like, guys, Galio, 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 Galio. And it's just like him, Balan, and Ning. Like Rookie's off somewhere else, the Shy's off somewhere else. But yeah, I think Pop has been doing much better since Balan's come in.
Very IG-esque, doing their own thing in the solo lanes. I think IG, as another note here, individual performance from Rookie is something we'll talk about in their matchup when we do get towards quarterfinals. Rookie has been, one of the best mid laners, if not the best this split, right?
I think he is the best mid lane this split.
Yeah?
I even vote for the first position in MVP for Rookie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I vote for Rookie this season because he is so good. And especially at the beginning of the season, everybody else was acting weird. Rookie was the only guy that put IG on his back.
He literally got them wins.
I massively agree. Like, I know we had a lot of talk about like Knight and Rookie and who's going to take that spot, but when you look at the carry ability of Rookie, where he's able to 1v5 an entire game, no problem whatsoever. Whereas when I look at Knight, he kind of still relies on a lot of the other players of top esports to play around him. I just think if I want someone who's actually going to win me this game, it's going to be a Rookie every single time.
Like, this is actually somewhere I disagree. I actually do think Rookie's the best mid laner, but I think Knight's ability to 1v5 is just as strong. Completely disagree. I think there were so many Silas, so many Echo games where Knight had no teammates to split. And
Knight still got like Jackie Love on his side, and that's
I mean, is Jackie Love on his side or is Jackie Love on the enemy team?
Jackie Love is on his side. Remember back in Spring's final, the 2v5 on the Baron pit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Jackie Love is always on his side. Yeah.
Jackie Love's on his side. I don't know about always.
The thing is for Rookie, it's like the Shy has already killed himself 4 times.
Well, I'm not disagreeing that Rookie had a much heavier team, but I still think Knight can definitely solo carry games, and I think Knight has solo carried games many times.
I don't think Knight can't. I just think Rookie is the one. If I've got like a gun to my head and I need someone to carry, I'm going to go with Rookie.
So what you're saying is if you have DMO, you're going to pick Rookie instead of Knight.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah. Like there's a really bad team and you need me to like at least change one guy. I will put Rookie in that role.
Yeah. At the very least, like, Rookie carrying through is a big important part why IG, I can be glad about them sitting top 3 at the end of the split. We'll move forward. My last one on this list is Suning out of left field. Because Suning were a team, I think I put 13th or 12th. Where'd you put them at the start of your power rankings and split, Teddy? Where did you put them?
I think they are on tier 3.
Okay.
They're on tier 3. So in my list, like IG, JDG, and Top Esports are on tier 1.
Yeah.
And maybe, wait a sec, no. I put like IG and JDG on tier 1 and Top Esports on tier 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, based on recent game. And like Suning and LGD are on tier 3.
Oh, tier 3, okay.
Yeah.
So that's interesting because Suning were a team that, made like minimal changes. Swanfong was already in there. We knew he was a great AD carry. Sword Art was still there. It was Angel still in mid. SOFM.
They made no changes.
Okay, there you go. But the only change is Bubu wasn't balancing the role with Bin.
Yeah.
And Bin got more playtime, and now he's the only top lane, and somehow he's very good now.
We do got to remember, though, that Bin was not able to start at the first half of spring.
Yes.
It wasn't even like a choice. It was just he wasn't there. So, that definitely did help. And overall, they've looked like a much better team. I still feel like they rely a lot on like their individual player skill, which I mean, when you're up against teams like IG, JDG, Top Esports, people like that, I don't think that's like a winning formula, but they do look much better than Spring.
They rely a lot on Southern's performance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like last night, as we're recording this, last night, of course, it was FPX and Suning, the final series at the split. I mean, that was very much a case of like, well, SOFM's performance in Game 1 and Game 3 was exceptional, which in a way carried
his
them over.
Game 3 least in.
The
Yeah.
funny thing is, it's if you look at the teams that they've lost to, it's IG, Top Esports, JDG, and then a random game to EDG. But honestly, I think this is a team, and going off of Teddy just saying why he placed them so low, because I think we all had Suning fairly far down the list. It feels very much like this is a team where the meta has shifted into their favor. Because when I look at, okay, who do I want making the engages on this team? It's Sword Art, it's Wanfeng and a Nash, and it's Angel on something like an Azir or Twisted Fate to set these plays up. I don't have confidence on SOFM like on a Jarvan or a Sejuani to actually set up these plays. Same when I look at BB in that top lane, or I just
Bin.
don't see, sorry, Bin in that top lane. I just don't see them being the engagements, and even we saw that issue in Spring where they'd hover around too long, not actually make a decision, and then just lose the team.
Actually, they still have that problem when they go for team fights. I was rewatching, I think it was Suning against Top Esports last night, and he's on Volley Bear, and he's just like kind of like posturing on the fight, looking to go in, and then like the rest of his team gets engaged on, and he just walks away.
That's
It's
why
like-
Graves is so good, because he's like, cool, I can just sit back and I can actually hit them from here. This is great.
Yeah.
And I can still remember last night when they versus FunClass at the second game when they have a like 2,000 gold lead at 15 minutes,
Yeah.
and everybody was losing their mind about how to play this game.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
everybody died once except Wanfeng. Everybody died in mid game, and it was really weird way. Like nobody know what are they doing, and I think back in like the start of the split, Sunny has a lot of game that they have early gold lead
Yeah.
and they have a really good mid game, but they have really weird situation at late game. Like they don't know how to close the game. Like that.
JD Gamey was the one that stood out for me, where Suning had like this massive
early
goal lead.
on.
All they had to do was play it through a side lane, and they decided to just group
Yep,
up.
and I remember that game. Like Angels LeBlanc are jumping on like Yagos. Like what the Yagos? What's that champion called? What you say?
Trying to think of the matchup.
I remember just the Wukong in the top lane
No,
for
the
Bin, and then
the first mage. That champion. What's that
Syndra?
name?
Syndra?
Syndra. Yep.
Yeah.
Andrew was using LeBlanc and jumping in front of Syndra, and
Yeah.
Syndra's outmid Andrew, and Andrew dies.
Oh,
and,
that's right.
Yeah, do you remember?
I remember.
Yeah, that's what they do a lot. So I'm really curious if they can make better in best of fives. Cause best of fives,
Yeah.
it's all about situation. And if you like doing something wrong in late game, the other team will punish you
They
during the whole round.
they have to adapt, right? Best of fives are about adapting and like going through such a long and strenuous series. Suning, though, it's still a positive. They end quarterfinals. I think that's higher than a lot of people would have thought. That ends the glads. I want to go into the sads because this one we get a bit depressing. We get a bit critical. FPX, this is their worst split in 2 years. Of course, in 2019, they hit top of the charts twice in a row. 14-2 split and a 15-1 or 13-2. Anyway, top of the charts. This time around, they only just make playoffs because RNG lost to BLG and took themselves out of the running. So FPX, just not a great team at the moment.
no, made it by the skin of their teeth. Like,
Yeah.
And honestly, I think well, I was having a conversation with Munch, was at least at home. I think I had the same conversation with you. I didn't want FPX to make. They didn't really look like a team that were a playoff contender whatsoever. And even now, I'm still putting up the question. I don't think they really will make it very far in this. I don't have confidence in them. I think even bringing back in Gimgoon was just kind of like, okay, well, let's slap a plaster over what's the biggest issue
Sure.
here. But still, like, their team fights aren't good. Trying to play out their composition isn't working. Tien is having one of the worst splits I've ever seen from him. And the impact that he's had from the jungle just isn't really there.
Like,
The duct tape.
I'm down on FPX compared to obviously them last year because last year they won, but I still rank them as my 5th team coming to playoffs. I still think they're better than
'Cause
WE,
what,
Suning, and
the
LGD.
best of five environment. Like, is it your previous experience with FPX running BO5s?
It's that, and also I'm just very down on LGDW and Suning. Like last night's series against Suning did not make me think Suning's a better team than FPX. Suning struggled to beat FPX with Duinbi bot, Gimgoon mid,
That's true.
Con first picking Renekton. Like, I think FPX with Gimgoon back on the roster, like, look fine. They look like a team who. The question for me is, will the best of 5 experience push them over teams like V5 to where then they are my 4th best team in playoffs? And if you're a top 4 team, you make it to Worlds.
Yep.
That's good enough. But I'd at least agree with the Sads that I think Tien has really struggled this split as compared to last year.
Been inconsistent.
Yeah, me too. I think Tien is really struggled this season, and this is the hardest season for him. And without Tien's performance, Doinb lost his control of the game. Yeah, and that's the most sad part for FunPlus this season. And another thing is, I think they are trying to let LWX playing like big carry during the mid of the split, but that just keep losing the game. And they try a lot. I think they want like change a lot during the mid of season. Like they put Can on the roster and they let Can play a lot of like solo lane champion like Queen, but it's all doesn't work. So they take Kim Gung back and try to play as what they played last year.
Old FPX.
Yep. And everybody was just know what you are going to do.
True.
Yeah, people notice that the only thing you will do is you do like early tower dive, early four-man tower dive at bottom lane, and people will just make bottom lane push the lane.
Or they do it better, right?
Yeah.
Like they respond
Or
to it
again,
done
we
better.
talked about this, the RNG game. FPX tried to dive bot 3 times. The jungle and top lane TP, mid lane TP, like they were always ready. They always just killed FPX.
Yeah.
Yep. And another thing is, I think, like what you said, their experience might help them during the playoff, but I still don't have faith for them. I don't think they can beat Victor 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's coming up. Dag, do you want to get a word in before I go to the next set?
Well, my kind of thing is like, I think Suning are going to give them a run for the money anyway, and even if they get past that, I agree with Teddy. I don't see them beating Victory.
I mean, I don't see them beating V5, but
Yeah.
I think Suning is worse than V5 and FPX.
I think Suning, if they can like,
Well, we
not
can
get
get
caught
to
out,
that
they
later.
sorted out yesterday.
You cheeky
like,
boys, yeah.
If there's a couple of things there, I think they'll be okay where they can actually close it out. But as we saw yesterday, not the most convincing play where they are getting caught out in a couple of different spots. So
I want to dive into this because we will talk about the matchup itself. But I like that you guys are like, no, never mind. We're not getting to that. We're just going to say it right now. Another part of my sad was while we talk about like consistency of recent form with FPX and expecting them to come back from Worlds and continue that run, and then they fall into the IG pattern, maybe just a split earlier. Like remember IG 2019 summer, we just only managed to hit playoffs as well. Out in round 1 to Suning or LNG, I think.
LNG.
That's 3 new, I think.
Yeah.
And then somehow made it to regionals and got to game 5 against top esports and then went to Worlds anyway. That was a year. But EDG RNG, some of the older organizations in the LPL, they, for the first time in EDG's history, didn't make playoffs. RNG, first time in 5 years, didn't make playoffs as well. And a lot of fans are like, well, old reliables who got close but didn't get in.
And it's kind of heartbreaking to see, especially on EDG's side. Obviously, the first time in the organization's history that they haven't made it to playoffs. So
Here in the nice cafe, we're going to say nice things.
maybe I should keep my voice down.
Yeah,
Either way, yeah, I think it still is. It's heartbreaking to see, especially as EDG. They had that surgence after they were knocked out. Like in the last, 6 series, they won 5 of them. Like they've looked really, really good towards the end of the split. It's just too late.
I would
Very
think
much
they
an-
look really good when they have no chance to get.
Yes, I was going to say the same thing. It's very much like an EDG thing. No chance anymore, but now we're going to look great, right?
And fans are killing by them.
Oh, God. It'd be tilted a little bit. And for RNG as well, the Xiaohu apologist here.
For me, RNG's the sadder story because I think the potential of RNG's roster is so high. Like I still think Xiaohu this split played so much better than the spring. I think Xiaohu played so well. I think we saw the highs that Gala has, right? Gala had some big plays that looked Uzi-esque. The problem was I feel like the other 3 were extremely up and down, especially Xiaolongbao. But even worse, their late game shot calling is the worst. They have the worst late game shot calling out of every LPL team.
I don't know who is calling the plays in RNG, but they definitely need to find some guy that can lead them.
Because it makes no sense. You've got Xiaohu, you've got Ming, and then Xiaolongbao is obviously not a big enough voice. As he's talked about, I believe in previous interviews, he's talked about not getting told off by Xiaohu, or they have a conversation between the two with Xiaohu trying to say, lead, take control. It's interesting. Sorry, Jordan.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting because we even saw against BLG, in the match that we expected them to win. We expected RNG to make playoffs. Both games, they get a 5K gold lead, and then they don't know what to do. They'll be at 3 dragons. They have to wait 4 minutes to get soul, and they're like, let's go dive top lane tier 2 turret, and then 4 of them die, enemy gets Baron, and
Maybe they practice a lot with EDG.
That's true. That's a good place to leave it. Final one on my sad list, though, just quickly, is E-Star as well. While EDG and RNG organizations that have that expectation, E-Star didn't. But at the very least, like, E-Star were a team that, I don't know, since making it in spring, I had a lot of confidence. But it's just unfortunate that they didn't, you know, do the same thing again.
And this was the thing, was E-Star for me have had the best early game in the LPL right now. They are consistently getting these big goal leads, and then they get to the mid game, they're like, what do we do? How do we make this work? And then it just all falls apart. So I didn't think that Cryan was going to make that big of an impact on this team coming in, but obviously he was the voice of the team when it got to the mid game about how they wanted to interact and where they wanted to move around the map. But I still think, obviously, this is their first split. There's still a lot of growing on this team, especially these players. And for people like Wei, who I think is such a strong jungler, I think this guy is a really good future ahead of himself.
Yeah.
He's the first guy that take Ignite on Griffs.
Yeah.
He's the first guy. Maybe we misunderstand him.
Yeah.
He is, like, he lead the patch.
True. He's big brain.
And, you know, taking Ignite on Graves instead of Smite, I think maybe in the future, you're right. We'll see that again some other time.
People are taking Ignite on Griffs right now, but it's Smite.
But with Smite as well.
Maybe he just put wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong, second.
He's above his time.
I'll be honest though, I had no expectations for E-Stars in summer.
Okay.
We saw at the end of spring they were already losing a bunch of teams coming into playoffs. They got stomped by WE. In spring you ban Jarvan, you ban Thresh. They're not a team anymore. Even if they Cryan, I don't think this team makes playoffs.
It's sad for me because it's a DMO effect where Sino Dragon debut split make playoffs and you're like, oh, this team's going to become something. And then, you know, eventually they kind of get found out. Because remember with Sino Dragon, it was like,
Kai'Sa Sion.
Yeah, the Sword and Shield Clement actually coined is like, yeah, Sion Kai'Sa every time. That's what we're going to play front to back. And then it got found out and then Sino Dragon became nothing. And for E-Star, it was like, well, very obvious how they play. They're a miniature WE.
Level 3 gank bot with Jarvan or level 2 gank bot with Jarvan.
Yeah.
If they don't get that gank off, they like
And
don't do
there's
anything.
one thing about E-Star I want to talk about is, I think their mechanic, like the true mechanic on the game are a little bit, are the issue that they can't move forward. Because if you are a pro player, mechanic are the least thing that you need to talk about. But sometimes E-Star's mechanic that seems not that good.
I was actually really impressed with Rat when he came in. I actually thought Rat was really, really good, and his mechanics were on point. Even the very first game where you saw him, where he's like flashing in aggressively as the Ashe, getting these plays, I was like, I am happy to see Rat in this roster. And then you've been saying for a while you haven't been the most impressed with Wink.
Well, yeah, and even CJJ, I think mechanically looks better than Xiaobai. You know, so
they make the change at the end of the season, but it's too late. They already kicked off.
Yeah, so now on to 2021. E-Star were just a personal disappointment. Seeing a team get to playoffs and then falling so far down is a very, I guess, big adaptation that must be made in 2021. But gents, let's move forward. I'm glad we got the glads and sads out of the way. MVP talk. Now, Teddy, I know the other day you asked to fill in, you know, your top players of the split and everything, but I want to run through you guys as well. We haven't heard the announcement. Voting is still going through. English broadcast, but we don't get a vote. We don't get it. We don't get a vote. But Teddy gets the vote. And you know what? I believe in his judgment. MVP of the split. Teddy, if you don't mind, if you would like to start, who would you look towards as like your top 3 for the MVP talk?
I already voted, and there's like 3 positions on my list. And the first position, I just told you guys, I vote for Rookie. Yeah,
that's very fair.
That's the first guy. And the second guy, I think I vote for Knight.
Knight,
Yeah,
okay.
I think I vote for Knight. And the third guy, are you ready for this? I think I vote for Wei Wei.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the third position of my MVP list.
I love it, dude.
You're smiling.
you know my 3 MVPs? The exact same list
Really?
as his. Yep, 100%, dude.
What a great
Rookie.
discussion.
My third place is actually different.
What is it?
My third place is Loken. I think Loken's looked really, really good for JDG, and when JDG were having all their problems, I think Loken was the rookie for IG, where Loken was the one who actually held that game together for them in a lot of situations.
Loken is the reason that why I don't put any JDG's player on the list. Is because everybody in JDG was really good, but Wei Wei is the guy who carries his team.
Yeah, like most valuable player, I agree with Wei Wei being in the list because Wei Wei is the person who is mostly responsible for V5 being a top tier team?
So the reason that I have Loken is because although JD game is good, at the start of the split they were looking really shaky, and we had to see the entire game plan change for them, where we couldn't have Kanavi on these carry junglers anymore, like the Graves, the Kindred. You had to swap over towards the Lee Sin, trying to get more aggressive and trying to affect the lanes a lot more. And because you couldn't have Kanavi be that carry anymore, you had to have Loken step up, because Yigao, he's a good mid laner, but he's not going to be the hard carry, and Loken needed to step up, and I think Loken this split has been playing the best League of Legends we've ever seen from him. So I think Loken is actually being a serious contender.
He was a ghost on top esports, you know, like Loken and Ben were such a silent bottom lane because it was all about the solo lanes in that team and how they won through the lanes, and Loken and Ben just had to go even, and then, you know, team fight with a grouped up 369 and Knights. So.
Lu Mao is the only guy I know how to play with Loken, so it's okay.
I mean, they're back together. It's kind of nice. So, agreement. I like putting Loken in the list. I think Loken deserves to be somewhere there for MVP. I'll move forward. Most improved. This time, start with Dagda. Let's get your most improved before we get Teddy's.
I go Loken again.
Technically not wrong.
Honestly, I think it's kind of a toss-up between Fubu and Bin.
Yeah.
I think obviously we were talking about these as two of the worst top laners in the league, and suddenly they're absolutely monstrous. So yeah, I think it's a toss-up between those two. Definitely, the aggression that we're seeing out of them is absolutely fantastic. They're actually able to win their lanes in a lot of situations. They're not solo dying as a Maokai to a Janna. I think that's a massive improvement. So yeah, I'd go with one of those two as the top laners. I'm seriously improved.
Do I have to go from spring to summer, or can I go farther back?
I mean,
can I say Balan?
Most improved, technically. Yeah.
Come on, guys. Last time we saw Balan, he was he did not belong in the
I think that's
LPL.
fine. I mean, Balan's very fair.
Balan comes in and IG before Balan looked like 5 players just on the Rift, like playing a different game. Balan comes in and like IG early game is a team. They're like moving across the map together, invading the enemy jungle. We see Balan and in constantly ganking mid. It's so beautiful.
I think Balan is in my second spot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I put Balan in my second spot. But
Who would you put as your most improved overall? Because I know in the voting system there's not a most improved, is there?
yeah. But I would put Jiomeng.
Jiomeng.
Yeah,
That's
a good one.
That's very fair, because as an 80, you remember when he came in spring, we all remember Jiomeng was
The thing that I like about him is in spring he kind of sucked. In playoffs he was good, and in summer he's been like really good.
He's got here.
Yeah.
He's got here 80 carries, and he got the most MVP times for 80 carry during the summer split.
You know who I know is happy hearing this one?
Who?
Our man Munchable.
Hey.
Sitting out there.
100%. Wherever he may be.
I think most improved is like it's very opinionated because it can change like from who you look at. Like in a way you can look at Bei Sheng being most improved, even though I think we saw in spring the quality of his performance. But
You can even make an argument for Teacher Ma, right? 'Cause
I
he's
actually
added
thought
a
about
bunch
saying
of
Teacher Ma.
different champions. He's got like the Silas.
he doesn't have to play Aurelion Sol all the time.
He's got the Orianna.
The Orianna now as well. It's like he's actually got more than 3
Yeah.
champions. I mean, he's doubled his champion pool. That's incredible.
There's a lot to go through. Finally, I want the rookie of the split. Now, rookie of the year we'd be talking about like people like Jiomeng. Who else? You guys got to help me out with this.
Juan Feng.
Fong.
Yeah.
Technically, you know, Peanut rookie of the year as well.
Okay, look, I know the broadcast counts Peanut as a rookie. I cannot count Peanut as a rookie.
Okay, good.
If in that way, Khan is a rookie too.
Yeah. Come on.
But I do like the idea of looking at Juan Feng. Juan Feng is
For me, Juan Feng's the one that stands out. I think Juan Feng, like, we talked about this a bit on one of our past podcasts. I think if you change Juan Feng for almost any 80 carry, I think Suning is a bottom tier team. I think Juan Feng is like so good. I think Juan Feng's amazing.
Who would you put as rookie of the
On the
split?
rookie of the split,
Outside of Jiomeng, give me someone else.
I think I will give it to Biu Biu.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay. I think again, stepping out of Suiting Shadow was quite big. I mean, Bin is up there as well, I think, in regard.
Bin and Biu Biu are really good. They left each other.
Yeah, like the divorce
Then
worked
you get
out.
a
You know?
divorce. Yeah.
Yeah.
Already
They
a
both
better.
got a split in the money.
Yeah,
and they're okay. You know, the kids shared.
They find their new life and
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. It's kind of nice. All right, we'll leave it there. Rookie of the split, done and dusted. Into playoffs we go, gentlemen. It's a long time coming that we're waiting for, V5 to hit playoffs, and that's where we're going to start. But before we jump right into V5 versus FPX, the difference maker for summer, I want your opinion as to what has been key for teams finding wins, even if you want to generalize a little bit, and what you think playoffs will be about in terms of securing victory. We don't know patch or anything yet. We don't know, if we get to 10-16 or if we stay on 10-15, but What do you think has been the difference maker for teams in LPL? Dag, we'll start with you.
Well, I think a lot of it is obviously picks like the Galio, the Twisted Fate, these kind of things coming in have obviously worked super well for some teams. They haven't worked so well for others. But I think the coolest thing about this meta is at the moment you get to kind of play towards what your style is. So if you want to go towards these tanks in the top lane and play front to back, you can have the Ore and you can play that style. If you want to go for these pick-oriented comps with the TF, the Galio, you can play towards that as well. And like, there's a lot of freedom to work with. Even when you look towards AD carries, it's like, hey, do I want to go Felios, Ezreal? Do I want to go Caitlyn? Do I want to like an Ashe? There's so many different varieties of styles that you can play that I think there's a lot of teams that are actually getting to explore and find what style works for them. So I expect we'll still see a lot of different styles from each of these teams, and I think it's cool that we do get to explore.
So you're saying we can diverse and teams can play to their own style, right? Do you agree with that, Luke?
Well, yes, to an extent. I'll kind of answer your questions in reverse order.
Yeah, go.
I feel like the difference maker for playoffs isn't going to be anything like about how your team plays. I think it's just going to come down to like clutch factor of like having those star names like Knight, Rookie, Kanavi. But in terms of like what has been a standout in summer that's like I think brought teams up is if you can play those comps where you have like the carry jungler like the Graves of all the set with the more supportive AD carry like the Ashe. Because to me, comps like that is what really pushed teams like V5 and Suning into being a top team that, if this wasn't the meta, I don't know if these teams would be here.
Teddy, do you agree with that? Do you have a thought on
Yep, I
success?
agree with you guys. And the other thing I think people must remember during the playoff are they need to treat wisely. Like, now there's only 8 teams in playoff, and everybody was in top tier. Everybody know how to make trade in this game, and especially this is a patch that we can put Caitlyn back on the game. And I mentioned a lot during this week. People like pick Caitlyn, and they will like as soon as they can, if they push the bottom tower, and they switch Caitlyn to the top lane.
Yep, just go again.
Before the 14 minutes, and they will just let other team take the Drake, but they need to take more plate on the top. And maybe they will give other team like 2 Drake in a row for Caitlyn's gold lead, and they will make team fight when Caitlyn has like 2 items.
Yeah,
like LNG, they were super good at that.
Like LNG, like top esports.
Yeah,
like, top esports are really good at those 2 Caitlyn games. So treat wisely is people what must do in playoff, and people will like just what you guys say. They need to know well about their picks, and adjustment during the best of 5 is another thing that they need to do. Because best of 3 are a whole different game. It's best of 3.
Yeah, experience needed for sure. Let's run in. V5 versus FPX. Let's start with V5. V5 were close to making quarters. They were knocked back due to Suning beating FPX last night as we're recording this. But still, as we mentioned before, it's still such a comeback. And V5 have been this team that have really channeled through the momentum during the regular season, at least the middle part. And a lot of the time on broadcast, we've talked a lot about this being responsibility of Weiwei and him leading the team as also one of the shot callers in the team as well.
Yeah, I mean, Weiwei and PP God both stepping up as the shot callers in that squad has been incredible. I think, the obvious thing for this team is just how heavily they play around their bot side. Weiwei is using PP God and Sam D, making sure they can set up plays on that bottom lane. Now, we've started to see them try to deviate away from this a little bit, where they are playing a little bit more through the mid lane, but I think they've had the most success when they just consistently play down bot side, where they got something like the Thresh. Even if they don't have Thresh, okay, let's unlock PP God to roam around the map on something like a Bard so we can really get these plays rolling. So I think a lot of this team is centered around both Weiwei and PP God, and if those two can work together, and I'm excited to see if they can keep that up coming in towards their first round.
I think this is the best early game team in playoffs. I think it goes back to what you just said and what Teddy said earlier is they do really good when they can get a pressure bot lane that can constantly push, set up for the invade, set up for dragons. They have the best dragon percent in the whole league. But with Y4, we have seen them play more through mid, and just it'll be like Weiwei and Mole starting that roam towards bot side instead, despite the fact that Y4 actually plays the same champions as SamD, but they aren't as confident in that 2v2 being able to take pressure. And to me, the thing for V5 is I'm sure they'll be able to get an early game lead against FPX and anyone. The question is like, can they close? Can they take it all the way? Because that's where they've struggled.
Can they hold the lead?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when they versus FunPlus, they need to more like force FunPlus to take early engage that's the way how they can get early gold lead. And back in the bottom lane, I think they will win lanes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will win lanes.
Because this is kind of old versus the new, and V5 are, not experienced in best of fives. Of course, we know scrims and everything, best of fives will be being played right now. But the thing is, they haven't been to a BO5. This is the first ever time V5 as an organization are making playoffs, as well as the fact that for a lot of these players, making playoffs for them as well is going to be the first time too.
And I just going back to kind of how I expect this game to play out a little bit. I think the biggest thing for me is like Weiwei versus Tien. I just feel like with the way that Tien is playing, Weiwei can get such strong jungle control in this game. It's going to make it really difficult to try and play out the map for FPX, and even trying to have Doom be played through mid. If you've got that mid jungle 2v2 that are consistently just hammering you back, it's going to be very difficult for Doomy to get out onto the map, have an influence bot lane or in that top side. I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be Gimgoon playing, so obviously it'll be Doomy down towards that bot side, but I think that's the biggest thing for me in this is just, I don't see how Tien in his current form is going to be able to fight back against Weiwei, especially if he's got PP God.
I do want to add the caveat real quick that let's remember FPX did beat V5 in the regular split.
Yep.
They did actually come out ahead. So I think this is the hardest matchup to predict in all playoffs because it goes two ways. You either think V5 having no experience and FPX having experience is everything, so you think FPX will win, or you think the opposite. You think, oh, well, I don't know if that means anything, so I think
It's
V5
like
is a
recent
better
form
team right
then is
now.
the other argument, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is the hardest one for me to judge.
And there's one particular champion that are really important during this best of 5. It's Renekton.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's so important for FunPlus right now because this is the best champion that I saw Gingong play in early game. But if you let Victor 5 get Renekton, they will tower dive Gingong several times in the early game, and that's what will happen. So and I think for the ban picks, it's much harder for Warhorse because you need ban Weiwei's carrier jungler such as Graves like Nedley, but you still need notice that Mo are really good on Zoe, on like Gariel. It's really hard to make ban picks versus Victor 5. That happens a lot during the summer split because a lot of teams that they ban Weiwei's champion, but they forced to release some champions for Mo.
Especially when you don't want like PP God to get the fresh.
I think the Ashe. I think honestly the Ashe is so big for them because
part of the
Ashe,
kit,
Ashe guarantees bot prio in like so many matchups.
Yeah.
But I think maybe in playoffs we are on 10.16. Ashe on nerf.
Oh, true.
Yep, Ashe on nerf.
That's always
Yep.
potential.
Yeah, if we do go to 10,
Like the thing is, that's true. We don't know if V5 are a team who can play out through this Caitlyn comp because that's we've seen the teams right now who play that Caitlyn comp are the best.
So the thing for me though is I feel like you can counter it with what V5 do like to play. Like we've seen PP God's Karma, we've seen the Ashe there for Sam D. If you just play that into this Caitlyn looks, I think you end up with a strong mid game.
10-16.
Yeah,
that's the thing, is right.
But,
We don't know.
But there's an X factory for FunPlus because in my memory, LWX is a really good Caitlyn player.
Yeah.
He's
I'm
really
pretty
good
sure.
in
Yeah,
Caitlyn.
he's really
And
really good.
Crisp is really good on locks.
He's been playing it a lot in solo queue. I checked. LWX is spamming the champion.
That's the X factory for FunPlus. Maybe they know how to play Caitlyn well, and maybe they can use Caitlyn to win.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is going to be a cut here, unfortunately. People getting flooded outside in the storm that's just been passed over Shanghai. So while the lights and the electricity is still going on, we are going to continue with our conversation.
The Sky are crying because EDG can't get any play.
Oh, no.
We are on EDG's territory.
True. We are.
And
Yeah.
the Sky above us are crying.
At least the structure's still holding for now. Hey, let's come back into the conversation. We were just talking about the matchup. I want to talk about FPX individually. Teddy, we'll start with you because FPX, a team that we've been looking at very much recently, has had the worst split, as we said before, but FPX with a change in meta have had a change in style, and they just don't feel like the same team anymore, right?
Yeah, I think they are really struggle to play the old style back in this season. They need to change immediately, and they tried a lot during the whole season, and now they just came out with the whole old roster.
Yeah.
And try to, for a really long time, I think FunPlus strategy are for everyone to pick the champion they want to play the most and try to be good in this game and try if they can get early goal lead and just snowball straight to the end. But it doesn't happen a lot. So back in playoff, experience will help them a little bit. But the other thing is, can they give Weiwei early game pressure?
Yeah.
Can they let Tian play really comfortable in early game? Because Tian is not that good when he was down.
But I mean, Tien has been part of the problem for FPX recently as well, right? Like Tien has been so inconsistent.
Yep.
And Tien and Doomby were the structure of FPX, and then everyone excelled around them, right? We talked about the mid 2v2, jungle and mid for FPX were the core of their identity, and now it's going to change. Jordan?
I think with Gimgoon, it's looked a bit better. They actually didn't lose a series with Gimgoon until last night, which,
Sure.
again, I think last night they get a pass, obviously, but I was watching some of their recent games, and it seems like they are trying to adapt a bit to where I honestly just saw Tien full clearing his jungle over and over again. They'll wait for the dragon fight to come. You know, Doinby's on something like a Galio or a TF that can move first, and then they just look for the 5v5 now. It seems like at least in their very recent series, like their past three, they realize, hey, you know, this 4-man dive isn't going to work. They don't really know how to play through like jungle pressure, like invading the enemy like V5 does.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, we're going to be like an LGD who just sets up for this big 5v5. And I think with Gimgoon back, LWX has looked better. I think Gimgoon being able to like be that zoning threat in a team fight, which Khan couldn't do, gives a lot more room for FPX to deal all the DPS and, you know, them win out on those team fights.
We were actually having a conversation about the way they've been playing with like the Twisted Fate and the Gangplank and stuff like this is, even though we'll see, hey, look, we've got a Twisted Fate, let's, in theory, push in a side lane and then we can use that Destiny to find a pick. What they tend to do instead is they'll just end up using this, like a teleport into a side lane to push the wave and then just group for the 5 versus 5 anyway. So this is very much more of a, hey, look, we're not going to try and even use this side lane pressure. They want to go for team fights. And I agree with you for the Gimgoon point. Every time we've seen Gimgoon, whether it's on like an Aatrox or an Ecton or any of these kind of picks, the Mordekaiser, he is consistently finding these flanks, the Gangplank. He's done a really good job of finding access to the back line. He'll like go way off the beaten track, avoid wards galore, and then get into a spot where he can get into that back line. Just cause so much issues for them that, okay, LWX is now free hitting, he's got a bunch of space. We see Doinby being able to churn out a bunch of damage if he's not also flanking alongside Gimgoon. So I think that's kind of the way that FPX look to be playing out their strategies.
Going back to what they know is, I think, something that's been discussed on broadcast quite a lot, where FPX, it's like, you know, the good burger we've talked about, the good burger that you always go back to, which I'm sure you're sick of at this point, Jordan, but, you know, I've said it at least 4 or 5 times with you.
He does. For some reason, he always calls FPX a burger.
Because you know the restaurant, okay, here we go, I'll put this down. So you go to the restaurant, right?
Yep,
you go to your favorite restaurant, you have a good burger, right? And you're like, that's the best burger, but you know there's something better. And so you go to this other restaurant and you try this burger and you think the meat is really, really good, but the other ingredients don't taste as good with it. So you go back to that burger because you know that's going to taste good, but that burger one day, it's going to taste even better.
It means like, you know, Khan versus Gimgoon. Like, you know, Khan can be good with FPX.
You know, Khan's there, higher highs, but Gimgoon and the ingredients just taste better.
Yeah, but maybe the best guy is the guy who fits you. The best burger is the burger that you like the most.
Yeah.
No.
Teddy coming with simple logic.
No.
It doesn't matter that it's better. You like that other burger more.
Yeah, it's nothing about the price, the ingredient. It's only like if you like this burger.
Damn, Teddy, this ruins everything.
Dude, we need Teddy on the English podcast.
Oh, man.
He says so many things like this that you can just simple and
We have to go
GG.
forward.
Yeah, let's go.
So finally, with the final element into FPX, I was going to mention here. What do you think about Doinby? And then I want to go into discussion of like who wins this matchup. So Doinby's form, Rob.
I think he's been looking good. It's just the issue is just he ends up on these champions like Karma, the Galios, the Twisted Fates, where it's more so about him being a facilitator in team fights rather than the big carry. But the problem is he ends up needing to be the carry anyway, even on these champions. So I think he kind of gets caught between a rock and a hard place where he's not able to support the team in the manner that he actually wants to.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem with FPX as a whole. And it feels like Doinby just is kind of falling to the wayside because the rest of the team is crumbling around him.
I think Doinby's great right now. Yeah. I think Doinby is like the sole man carrying this team. Again, up until now, we're undefeated with Gimgoon, so we're looking quite good. It was all off his carry performances, and he makes champions like Galio look like massive carry champions. Sure. And I was thinking of like my mid lane rankings before we aired this, and it was surprising to me that I actually thought, Doinby in lane actually isn't as bad as like previous years where everyone said, oh, Doinby can't play lane. I actually think he looks better than a lot of our mid laners, like Angel, like Yagao, obviously like Teacherma. I think he's playing better than Xie right now, which I think would surprise a lot of people. So I feel really good about Doinby.
Yeah. this guy even played Syndra last night. What can you ask for?
What can you ask for?
He didn't play Syndra for the whole season when FunPlus was like on 7 straight lose, like 7 lose on a row.
Yeah.
But he played Syndra last night because LWX was not there and he need to play Syndra on bottom. What can you ask for?
What more can you ask for? V5 versus FPX, it is a best of 5. Again, you've mentioned things like, experience, inexperience, recent form for V5 may be favored, but this is going to be interesting because I want your predictions and I want you to tell me why in the best of 5 in the first round. Teddy?
I already predict that on our Chinese after show yesterday, and I will give the same result right now. That Victor 5 will 3-0.
3-0?
3-0.
3-0 FPX.
3-0 FPX.
3-0?
Yeah.
3-0, not even a game.
I'm a believer in you, Wei too.
Yeah, me and Teddy on the same page.
English broadcast for Teddy coming up. I think this is really nailing it down. So if you believe in Wei, you think jungle difference is going to lead the
Jungle
series?
difference going to lead, and Victor 5 will always get early gold lead and straight up to end the game.
I think stylistically, V5 does well in the teams that just want to run at them.
Yep.
So I think if it's FPX with Gimgoon, I feel like V5 will win. I'm going to say 3-1. Though I do understand and respect your prediction because the thing about new teams is if you lose one, that is when you could tilt because you don't have the experience.
Remember SDG versus EDG?
Yeah.
Last.
Oh, yeah.
SDG 3-0 to EDG.
They get on a roll and then they just keep going. Yeah.
Exactly. So I could understand the 3-0, but I'm going to give a bit of respect to my man Duembi and say 3-1.
The Messiah says 3-1.
I say 3-1 as well. I'm on Jordan's side here. I think FPX will get at least one where they end up finding a team fight where V5 don't set up correctly. They end up getting caught out. There is a bit of that playoff jitters that are there, but I don't think it's
I do want to add, so FPX, not FPX, V5 have the shortest game time in LPL because they are the second fastest in wins, but they are the fastest in losses. They lose faster than DMO.
Yeah.
When they lose, they lose.
So this could be 60-minute series or 90-minute series, but it could also be a 90-minute series.
When they are down behind, they were like, guys, let's think about next game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is kind of smart in a sense as well. Well, you're all going V5, and the 3-0 I like is very...
Are you on FunPlus side?
No, I'm V5.
Yeah, let's hear your
I'm
prediction,
V5,
sir.
But it will be a 3-1. I was going to do 2. I feel
We're all
like
safe, Teddy. We're all safe,
3.
guys.
I mean, I'm always... They didn't want to... They already knew.
It's so sad that there's nobody stand behind.
No,
I know.
no. V5 are technically, even though V5 are not the underdogs from us, they're still the underdogs.
I do want to add that,
coming
again,
into the series.
this matchup I can see either way for that experience factor.
But isn't it crazy that the world champions were all sitting here being like 3-0, 3-1? We're like, nobody has anything for the 0 and 16 team.
IGR 2008 world champion, but they got 3-0 on last summer.
Yeah, true. But I do want to add, again, I think FPX would beat LGD, WE, or Suning. I truly believe that. I think
You just
V5,
think stylistically it's a favorable match for V5?
Yeah, and I think V5 is the 4th best team in terms of play right now.
Okay. All right, well, that's top side of the bracket. V5 you're going to put on top. Let's go to the bottom side here because it's LGD and WE. Starting with the 6th seed of LGD, they're a really interesting team to talk about because in the past we've talked about their team fighting ability and how they are, one of the better team fighting teams in the LPL with Kramer, with Xie. I think Langxing has also found some of his form in a sense. He's been back and forth at points. What do we currently think of LGD?
I'm
You first. He smiled. Rob,
I'm not convinced by them. I think this team. I mean, look, I was even the guy who put them in 4th at the start of the split, right? I thought this team looked really
He predicted that they would be 4th.
4th at the start of the split.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, really? Oh, God, you guys are Spirit Brothers.
I predict they will be the first team that.
I'm trying to flame him, and Teddy's like, what? Me too.
I predict that LGD was the fourth team go to Worlds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You guys are crazy.
You should be on the English
And I
broadcast.
predict on the first month.
Oh.
On the end of the first month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they are the first team.
But
Okay.
I mean, at the moment though, they haven't been looking great. Their team fight engages haven't been looking strong. I think this team revolves heavily around Xie. I think if he's having a good game, fantastic. Let's get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
We're going to be good. Otherwise, this team starts to fall apart. And I think Kramer's great. But if he could stop getting caught out for once, I would be so happy. Every time there's at least once or twice a game where I'm just like, Kramer, why are you there? Why are you not 30 paces over this way.
He's kind of like the SMLZ as well,
Yeah.
alongside SMLZ this split. We're constantly getting caught out, but
I'd like to hear Teddy's thoughts on LGD first. I want to save my opinions.
Because everybody know my favorite top laner was Biu, and the second one was Langxin. I'm really happy that RNG didn't get in playoff because I'm a big fan of Langxin, and RNG didn't get playoff because Langxin left RNG.
Yeah.
That proves
All right.
Langxin is a really good top
Nothing
laner.
to do with Uzi. It's all on shit.
It's all Langxin.
oh, Langxin.
Langxin was in RNG at spring, and they get in playoff.
True.
And without Langxin, they even can get in playoff.
Hey,
Yep, and I think Langxin is really good this season.
Yep.
And Langxin fits LGD really, really good. Cause, do you guys remember that when Lies on the top lane at the spring, Peanut just can't get top. Peanut,
I don't rate lies, yeah.
there's no top side of the map for Peanut back in spring split. But now Peanut has a whole map.
Yeah.
And back in days, Peanut was the best jungler in the world.
Yeah.
And he is still really good this season. And I agree with you that Kramer has some mistake, but Kramer is still a really good late game AD carries.
Yeah.
And back in playoffs, especially when they versus WE, I think both of them are trying to play like much safer than the regular split.
Yeah.
And when that case came out, Kramer are really good at late game, and Peanut can hold the team at the early game. I think they have a much better chance to beat WE. And another thing is Xie is really good this season. I think Xie is better than Spring. Better than he
I
was
agree. I definitely agree.
He was in DMO.
DMO, yeah.
Yeah, and the patch was fit Xie too.
Yeah.
Like Gariel, like Silas, like Twisted Fate.
Twisted Fate.
Yeah.
First pick Twisted Fate.
And another thing is Xie is also good at late game champion.
Yeah.
Such as Kuki or like Azir.
Even on DMO, we saw the Cassidon,
Yeah. So
Pentakill, didn't he?
no matter if the game are fast and slow, I think LGD is the better team than WE.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, coming out hard and say.
And there's another thing. There's
take me.
One last point is maybe Langxin is not that good. Maybe Langxin is not the best top laner, not the Shy.
No,
but Langxin versus Morgan in this series.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Poor pray to Joe, wherever he is.
Yeah. No matter what Langxin are like playing this season, but he versus Morgan. Everybody know.
Yeah.
If you ban Renekton, Morgan is like Morgan's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we'll talk about the form of Morgan in a second because I have some strong thoughts on that as well. There's one person who's been saving himself.
Look,
What's the deal?
I think
What's going on?
LGD is just straight up bad. I don't think they belong in playoffs. I think individually they're all good. Like Teddy just said.
4 out of
like-
5 have been to Worlds.
Yeah,
You know, and then
I think they all look pretty solid.
MSI
Mark is my
champion.
one question mark. I think Mark's kind of like below average, but I actually like Langxin a lot. I think his role in this team is great. He's an amazing frontliner. He plays lane like pretty well. Peanut obviously great. Xie much better split. I'm with you with Kramer. I actually don't think those small mistakes of getting caught out really matter all that much. My problem with this team is they just don't do anything. Like we see Peanut's extremely aggressive early. He'll get those ganks off, but they don't ever transition that into anything as a team. Like they'll set up for Dragon, but they won't take Dragon. And if the enemy team starts Dragon, they're like waiting for the perfect engage. And the perfect engage just never comes. And I feel like mechanical skill from Mark isn't quite there to where we'll see him like on Leona or on Nautilus. He'll miss the key Dredgeline or he'll miss the key Leona ultimate. And then, again, like LGD's whole plan is gone. And LGD plays so safe, they'll just back off and wait for the next one.
But there's a secret weapon for Mark during the playoff. Because if the patch is 2.16 Raccoon above, Mark is a really good Raccoon
He
player.
is, yeah.
Yeah, and Kramer Zaya is good too. So maybe they will let Jomon take Ashe, which Jomon takes a lot during the last week, and they will take Raccoon and Zaya.
Okay.
I do want to say they're a
Interesting.
team that I feel like could benefit a lot from like the Caitlyn comps because those aren't really compositions that want to force team fights.
Yeah.
Like they do want to play it slower, like you were saying earlier, right? Take all the turret plate gold, get a bit of a gold
Take their
lead,
time, yeah,
and
yeah.
exactly, then set up those sieges. So
Interesting
they're
point.
a team I feel like could benefit a lot off the meta.
So who is the core carry in this roster? Is it literally just, if I'm talking about LGD, is it Peanut? Is that the
I think
the
it's
start?
Xie.
I think Xie.
Xie?
Must
Good.
be Xie.
Good, because I know a lot of the audience out there watching will be like, well, why isn't there more talk about Peanut? I think Xie doesn't get as much of a.
Let's add the praise for Peanut. Peanut played 1v9 in spring. Peanut in spring
He's a
was
great player, but
Yeah.
I like that the conversation steers towards if Shie is performing, then LGD look like a great roster. You know, to use the word great.
But people on heard is Peanut is the most handsome guy in LG.
Yes, I agree.
Is he the most handsome in the LPL though?
I don't know.
No, I've already said this.
I'll
Rookie.
answer.
That's Teddy.
I think
LPL cast has been nice
it's rookie. Okay, let's move
rookie,
on.
an icon looks like a rock star as well.
True.
You know? What do you think? Hang on, I'm okay with this.
Oh
This
Jesus.
is harsh. Come on. This is harsh.
Hard.
This is hard.
Oh, it's hard.
This is hard for me.
Okay, that's all right. I know you're thinking about it. I'm gonna continue for. If you can interject any time. If you
Okay, you just keep going on. Let me see.
I think the biggest thing for Peanut has looked really good. I think Shie has been such a
Oh, you're
strong
talking about
engagement. We're
gameplay.
going back.
Yeah, no.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, not looking. Okay, let's move that conversation
Yeah.
out of the way. But as a player,
Must be Masuki.
you think Mitsuki?
He become a model.
Did he?
He's already retired. Even nobody knows, but he already retired.
To become a model.
He become a model. He become a pro model.
Hey.
Nobody knows.
Hey, he's pretty gorgeous.
Yes.
Yeah.
He become a model after his last game in DMO, and now he's retired.
Dude, what a great career. Goes to DMO.
That's like some weird TV show. It's like I retired as a pro gamer to become a model.
Yeah,
What
and now he is a
storyline is
full-time
this?
model. Yes, because I talk a lot with like DMO's assistant coach.
Yeah.
He's one of my close friends, and he told me that Misuki turned to a
A
full-time
model.
model.
That's
Yeah.
so interesting. I didn't. No offense to him. I didn't think he was like super handsome, but obviously I
But
didn't get a
he's
good enough.
super
one. Tall.
He's super
Gotta
tall.
be tall. All right. Sorry, Rob. You talking about?
as a player, you're all good. As a player, Peanut has looked really, really good. But the thing that I look towards more is like, when we think of the engages from LGD, they've been super reliant on like TP flanks coming in from Shie, him having these big engagements as Galio. It's been a lot around working on how Shie is setting up this team for success. Even when we look at the highlight moments, the highlight plays from LGD, it's like Shie's Cassiopeia, these kind of plays that are really the standout.
I also feel like it's just because of the way LGD plays. Because, again, Peanut is still extremely aggressive in the early game.
Yep.
And I still think you can make a highlight of just Peanut plays, but they don't do anything with that pressure. So it's like you were just going to default to who's ever showing up best in team fights, and that's Shie.
Chances are mid lane, right? Also, first time playoffs for LGD since 2016 spring. We're talking about this off broadcast. Last time they made playoffs, I think, was the Marin roster when he was topside for
Yep.
LGD. So a long, long time ago. It is exciting for LGD fans. We'll come back to talking about them in the matchup because we'll do the head-to-head versus WE. WE are the 7th seed here. They're in the same spot again in the first round of playoffs like they were in spring. The difference is 7th seed on this side of the bracket rather than 8th seed where they were on the starting side. WE is a weird team because we saw a lot of teams kind of figure them out in a sense, but it didn't affect WE as much as I thought it would. I thought WE would fall further down, but they're still playing similar styles of compositions, and they're still as successful.
They're another team that goes back to what Teddy said earlier. Actually, you said it earlier, where
Yeah.
you said teams picking up wins earlier on in the split. And that, to me, was WE. WE picked up a bunch of wins early on in the split, and it's like, okay, they got enough to where, sure, they ended up falling down to 7th, but they picked up enough to inch into playoffs.
Yeah, and it's around, one core player. We know that the center of this team should be, is it mid as well? Like, is it Teachama?
Centerpiece in a way, like obviously their play style's defined by him, but obviously we're talking about like the core parts of the team, jungle and bot lane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Their jungle and bot lane are on God tier.
Yeah, I agree.
Because Beishang has been, we were talking on the English broadcast, Teddy, that Beishang hits top 3 as a jungler this split at least.
Do you guys actually know the meaning of Beishang in Chinese?
Sad,
It means sadness, yeah.
Sad what?
Sadness.
Just sadness.
Yeah.
Just sadness.
Wow,
yeah.
it's kind of depressing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's depressing for the enemies who have to go up against them.
Yeah. Do you think he's top 3?
I'll put him on number 4. I think.
Number 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the top 3 for me is Wei Wei,
Yep.
Yeah.
Ning, and Kanawi.
Oh, okay,
And
all right.
Beishang is on number 4.
Wait, you're making us all happy here. That's at least one of our top 2s on the list. Because WE at the moment, like while Beishang is another big piece, you mentioned support.
Yeah,
Yeah.
missing's amazing.
Missing is great as a support.
Missing is great if he doesn't missing any skills.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately for his name. And then Jolmung, who's improved a lot. You talked about
Yeah.
Jolmung being a top tier player.
I think Jomon is the core of this WE. especially in the late game.
Oh, of course.
Which fills a role like, correct me if I'm wrong, that Mystic was, back in the day, in a
Yep.
sense, where Mystic was a very core part of how WE
Well,
played out their
remember,
late game.
this split, they even changed their playstyle a little bit when they started putting Teach'em on Karma and just put Jomung on Aphelios,
Yeah.
and they just played like the 4 protect 1 composition so much.
And like at the moment, Jomung's sitting at like near 30% of this team's damage. Like he is
does play
the
Ezreal.
hard carry.
He does
I know.
play
Ezreal every single game, though. And he played Ashe a lot early on, I guess, but recently his Ezreal's been popping off, which is still impressive because not many people are playing Ezreal.
But while WE picked up wins earlier in the split that you're mentioning, what do you actually think of WE as a team? Like, are you genuinely surprised that they got here once again?
This is exactly where I expected them to be.
Yeah, I honestly feel like W is the gatekeepers of the LPL. It's like, hey, look, if you want to get in towards those top 6, you have to be able to beat WE. Like, you have to be able to play against them. You have to be good enough that you're not getting caught out. You're not getting picked off by them. You can deal with the early aggression from Beishang as a jungler. Like, that just seems to be, it's like, cool, you can check all these boxes off. Fantastic, here, get into the top 6. Like, that just seems to be what WE are.
Because they are a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to cast with how they play the game, right?
Yeah.
And I know we've been stealing one of the phrases used on the Chinese broadcast, comps that flow with the wind. I don't know if you still use that from WE. I think it was Wawa who mentioned it to me.
What's that sentence?
Comps that flow with the wind. So I was told by Wawa, this is used.
Maybe he's just been messing
Oh,
with
no, you better
Maybe
not.
he's lied to you this whole time.
I don't, obviously, if I knew the,
Do you know
Chinese.
the Chinese word?
no, I don't. I don't.
But, got translate.
Like, so the way I was explained, what was explained to me is, we saw a lot of the Galio mid, and we saw a lot of like the global pressure from Teach'em,
Yep.
and like his ability to influence the map and how fast they can be to a position, and how fun it is to watch like a comp like WE, especially if Beishang's on Echo and we see that mid influence combined with it, and their ability to hit sides of the map, I think was quite impressive from WE. How did you feel with WE this split, and what do you think about
I
it?
think they really play. They play really well at the beginning of the season, just like you guys said, because people don't notice that they need ban that much hero for Teacher Ma.
Yeah.
And in the late season, in the late time of split, the patch nerfs WE, I think.
Okay.
There's a lot of champions that WE used are nerfed by patch, especially Jilmon's champion.
Yeah.
And they are forced to change their playstyle. But just like what I said before during the LGD phase, Morgan is the biggest problem of this team.
I agree.
Yeah, because back in days when Morgan got Renekton, he's a really good top laner, but if he can't get Renekton, he's not that good. And now that the second champion that he played is nerfed too, like he used to play On if there's no Renekton, but On is not that good as the
I saw on Weibo though that he's like super strong Camille. He's got like a bunch of picks that he's playing really well in solo queue.
But
Yeah,
he's always done that.
yeah.
Everybody's good
That's why I'm
at
really
that.
surprised he hasn't brought it across though.
Yeah, but everybody's good in solo queue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Me too.
Xiaohu is
Show's like always top 10.
I
dude.
said,
Show's
yeah.
always top 10.
and Xiaohu make top 1
Yeah.
during the mid of the split. So everybody's good
But
in solo
Don't
queue.
talk trash to Xiaohu. I love Xiaohu.
I love Xiaohu too.
Oh, there we go.
Nah,
You Teddy your bros.
All right, guys, stop fawning over. He's not even in playoffs. Sorry, there's kind of a burn in the same sense. But you're right. Like what you can do in solo queue was one thing, and then coming into competitive play is another, of course, because you got to play around what your team
It
wants.
could also show what he feels comfortable on playing with no pressure, because we know
That's true.
Beishang doesn't play around top, right? So maybe he just feels like, okay, I need this.
What
If
can I
I'm
play
going to play
weak
by
side?
myself,
Yeah.
I need this champion. I need this champion, guys.
Yeah,
But
which is
that's a problem when you're versus LGD, because just like I said before, Peanut have the whole map right now, and Peanut plays a lot. Peanut play a lot around Langxing,
Yep.
and that will hurt Morgan a lot.
So let's go into the matchup then, because for WE and LGD, I want to know what lane changes everything. In our last series with V5 FPX, we're talking a lot about Mole and Duin being formed there, and like we nailed it down to the jungle matchup with Weiwei being better than Tien. In LGD versus WE, we've got a fun jungle matchup, but is that where it comes down to it, or somewhere else? What's the core lane for you?
So for me, it's actually not so much a lane that defines this matchup for me. It's actually the inconsistency of LGD to set themselves up correctly towards like objectives and stuff. Because especially when we look at WE, who plays such a pick-heavy style, if you've got Kramer who's not playing in the right position, if you've got that LGD they hover around and certain like they're late to objectives, they're not exactly forming into a group fast enough. If you've got something like a Twist of Fate or a Gali or something along these lines, or even an Ashe for Jumong in the bottom lane where you can pick off LGD before they get themselves set up, I think that's how WE could actually end up winning this series, is just finding these crucial picks at the right timings around late game Dragons and Barons and the likes of that.
For me, the crucial point is going to be mid, because I don't know if you guys remember, but like 3 weeks ago, LGD hard stomped WE, crushed them, like 2 20-minute games. And it's because LGD just kept ganking mid. They level 2 ganked mid both games. And I remember the Aurelion Sol, Teacher didn't get to do anything, just got crushed.
Oh, yeah.
And they were consistently ready for WE's bot plays, so Longxing kept saving his TP to react bot, and LGD just stomped them in like 20 minutes.
Was that the Aurelion Sol game where the multiple plays came through and it was the Teacher Ma Syndra?
Yeah, I think one game was Syndra as well.
Sorry, not Xie Syndra, I think it was, with Peanut.
Oh, like Syndra into it, yes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure one game in that series, Teacher Ma also played Syndra, and I think Xie played Echo, and he also got stomped. So, yeah, I don't feel good for Teacher Ma against LGD.
Yeah, me too. I think the casual plan for me is the mid lane too.
Yeah.
And Teacher Ma will under really heavy pressure because Peanut will always gank him. And
True.
do you guys remember back in Spring Split that Teacher Ma got like 0-13 or 0-11 on Rambo?
Oh, yeah.
And that game he was under really heavy pressure. So I think that will happen again during LGD series.
Peanut level 2 ganked mid on Lee Sin. Like, Lee Sin's not a champion that level 2 ganks mid, but against Teacher Ma, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I think like Teacher Ma versus Xie in another sense is another old versus new. I mean, Xie used to be on WE, his old
Oh,
organization.
yeah, that's actually really fun.
And LGD is the only team that I think they will, and maybe they will like ban 5 mid champion because they do that to Rookie.
Yes, yeah,
They
yeah,
do that to Rookie. So I think maybe they will do that to Teacher Ma too.
Which has worked so well in the
Let's
past.
just ban 5 mid laner.
And then what are they going to do?
Yeah.
I think stylistically, this is WE's worst matchup.
Yeah.
I think
Oh, really?
LGD is the perfect team to play against
So
WE.
let's get predictions. Rob, start with you. Let's run it down.
I still think it'll be LGD. I think there will be at least a 3-1 in there. I think, as I was talking about, I still am not convinced fully by LGD setting up. I know they had super strong games against WE in the past, but I don't think we're going to see the Aurelion Sol. I've hated the Aurelion Sol from WE for a long time, and obviously they've gotten rid of it now. I think with
Spring it was okay from memory.
Yeah.
Okay, but this would have been
Then it was
horrible.
completely different.
Yeah, but I think we're starting to see WE bring in a little bit more. And I think if we do get LGD in these positions where they are caught out, I think they will be able to pick up a game, but I still think this would be LGD.
It's funny because we came into this chat talking about LGD being like, you know, we're still not sure, but you must have that much more faith when WE is the team that.
It's funny that I think WE is a better team than LGD.
There you go.
I just feel like LGD showed us they know exactly what WE is going to do.
So is this another stylistic choice then with your prediction about that you're about to tell me?
Yeah, so I am actually going to be, it's going to be strange because I think LGD could 3-0, but I'm going to say LGD 3-2 because
really?
I have faith in the like their coaching staff and their planning because they've been teasing, hey, we're practicing a bunch of special strategies. So I think they'll be able to like surprise pick up 2 wins.
Still 2 wins.
Yeah,
from LGD.
but I think LGD will still come out on top.
Okay, 3-2. Teddy, you're up.
What can I say? LGD is my first pick for the world.
Okay, so
LGD like 3-1 to WE. 1
Right.
point for my man Jiumeng.
I like it. I like that.
and if LGD get quarterfinals as well, they have 10 points. I'm pretty sure they won't be guaranteed to regionals, but chances are they will be going to regionals at this point. So, you know, and then they can get that 4th seed you're talking about. So,
Like I already imagine if LGD get in World Finals final, if they actually get the champion, like Xie can pick Diana for his skin, cause Godway play a lot of Diana.
Oh, yeah.
Luke can put like Godway on his Diana skin.
Look how much thought Teddy's put into this already.
do you actually know Godway are playing PUBG right now?
oh really?
He is a PUBG pro player
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now,
he is.
Godway, and like you can make your Diana like recall, get out the gun and
The ode.
and shoot in the
The
opposite
ode
way.
to old
Yeah,
LGD.
and shoot in the opposite way, and just like Godway is still with me. Like,
Godway would
I've
be.
been already thinking about that. Yeah.
Is he still a PUBG pro?
Yeah,
He is.
Wow. He's
Yes.
been doing that for a while, Godby, hasn't
Yeah.
he?
So, Xie, please pick that.
That would be such a good ode, and it would be such a nice testament after all these years
Look,
waiting for LGD to
It'd
get
be
back to
nice,
Worlds.
but we all know we're going to get the Mole Nico skin when V5 wins Worlds.
Oh, yeah. Or maybe Y4 plays a game, we get Y4 Bard skin as well.
Rookie Nico. We've just got 2 Nico skins we can work with.
Oh, man. Okay, so LGD across the board. I'll throw my 2 cents in because I did for the first one. Sorry, Teddy. LGD, you put 1 game in for WE for your boy John Monk.
Yeah, so it's 3-1.
3-1.
My man Juman will win 1 game and get MVP.
Yeah. I think this is the 3-0. I look at this, and even though like it feels close, WE is that team where if they get figured out within the realms of a series, I think they can crash and burn pretty hard. So I don't know, could be wrong, but LGD I'll stick with as well. There's no controversy here. No one's really stood up against. We're all V5, all LGD. Need that 5th person in to say pretend Munchables is here. If we can get a Photoshop edit here, Munchables WE 3-2.
I think say 3-0.
Fun plus 3-0.
Yeah, from Munchables as well. Yep, he doesn't get an opinion. He's not coming in. He is 3-0. He shouted out. Thank you so much for LGD. He is with us today on looking. Well, LGD and WE, LGD the one to go forward to quarters. V5 the one to go forward to quarters. Now, the quarter matchups, as we know, it's Suning waiting for the winner. So you're assuming V5 versus Suning.
Yep.
And then you're also assuming LGD versus IG. Let's quickly start with what you think of V5 versus Suning, and if V5 will continue the run, starting with Teddy at the end.
I want to watch Spielberg versus Spin.
Yeah.
That would be 2 guys that divorce and get together.
Yeah, no.
They face each other. I think if Victor 5 can get in the 2nd round, they will beat Suning.
Oh, so you think the momentum will carry them through?
They will straight up to top esports, and maybe they have a slight chance to beat top esports and get in the final.
Oh, wow.
They did that in the regular split.
Yeah.
They are the first team who beat top esports.
So even though they're not the 8th seed, you're thinking like this is maybe a JDG approach from round 1 all the way to finals.
Yeah,
you
maybe.
Remember 2019 spring, you remember JDG?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Beat by IG, you think?
Yeah, get beaten by IG in the final, perhaps.
But they have much a chance to win if they match up with Suning.
This is a really interesting conversation for me because Suning, we talked about a little bit before in the Glads playing well, but you guys seemed not sold on Suning, especially you, Lyric.
I think V5 3-0 Suning. I think it's a
I have
stomp.
0 belief in Suning in best of 5.
Oh, so you would actually
I'm saying
say FPX would be more competitive
Yes.
in round 1
yes.
than Suning?
Yeah, I think FPX would beat Suning. I think it's funny. We say Suning is a team that relies on individual skill. I think V5 is better and more individual skill than Suning. They play more as a team.
They're Suning light that are better than Suning.
Yeah, I think the only... Okay, we can say the 2 places where Suning are better than V5 are the 2 roles that don't matter. Top and AD carry. I feel like, okay, Bin is better than Biu Biu,
No,
but...
I think Spielberg is better than Bin.
Dude, you just love top players that play tanks.
That's my favorite top player.
I know, you love Biu Biu and Long Shing, man. You love tank players.
Yeah.
But,
Sorry, continue.
but the thing is, I don't think Bin's going to be able to do anything against Biu Biu. I think that's the point. I think
Spielberg will smash Bin in the lane.
you know, Teddy sold me.
All right.
Teddy sold me.
All right.
Biu Biu smashing Bin and Huanfeng being better than Sam D or Y4, I don't think matters at all because PP Gun, Wei Wei, and Mole are going to do so much in that time that it doesn't matter.
Rob, I want your opinion on this.
I'm dead set with Jordan there as well. I think you just have a stronger, where it counts, mid, support, and jungle is a lot stronger. I think they work more as a cohesive unit in the early stages of the game as well, where I think Wei Wei is going to get complete control over SOFM. And then even with Sword Art, with how shaky at times he can look, I think they're going to be able to exploit that too. Okay. I just think V5, with how solid they can look from early to mid game, they just don't.
And I want to add in real quick that we did see Suning beat V5, but V5 through. That game 2, V5 was winning 5K gold.
Should have been a 2-0.
And this is a best of 5, so if they do happen to throw one game, it doesn't matter. But they're not throwing one game. It's a 3-0 because Teddy said it, Biu Biu will carry.
And if there's a slight chance that Huanfeng and Sword Art can beat like SamD and
BB
God on the lane, they can always substitute Y4 in and play Sina.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah, exactly.
They can pick a Sina.
I agree.
Pick a center
and
in,
they can let just PPK go get mid.
Exactly.
And then Y4 stay behind the tower and use Sina kill the mini.
Okay, all right. Well, it's interesting. Does that change? Does your opinion change at all for the 3 of you if it is 10-16 rather than 10-15, or you don't think it's enough of an impact?
I think maybe. I think it could matter because, again, I'm positive looking from Huanfeng's solo queue that, and knowing Sword Art, they will be the team that does these Caitlyn, Karma, Caitlyn, Lulu bot lanes amazingly.
They can bank Caitlyn.
That's the thing.
That's-
yeah,
yeah.
that's where I'm just like, I don't think it matters.
Well, again, I would still predict V5. I'm just saying this is the avenue where I think Suning is more of a chance. I think 10-15, Suning eventually.
Takes it at 3-1 for Jordan.
It's just interesting to me that the quarterfinal team has less of an impact in your, rankings and what you actually think is going to happen than a team like FPX, even though they are the world champs, they are still a round 1 team at the moment. So that's interesting. So V5 going through to quarters now. We are going to be doing another show for semi-finals and beyond and going towards third place match. So we won't talk about V5 going up against top esports. I want to leave that on the cusp because Teddy's already alluded to it and said, they might.
Well, it's good because Teddy won't join us next time, so it's good that we get his opinion now.
Oh. Well, yeah, just quickly then. Would V5, if V5 do it against Suning as well, do you think semi-finals, who cares, like top esports?
I think we'll still be top esport.
Oh, okay. Damn, okay.
I don't think they can be top esport right now.
All right,
Yeah.
all right, that's fair. Look, they are the first seed.
Yeah.
But V5 at the very least, if they get to semi-finals, and if you guys, with your predictions, think that they're going to make it all the way through, guaranteed for regionals at bare minimum.
yeah.
So that's still big, and then they can make the regional run. And again, next show we'll be talking about the regional gauntlet. That side done, V5 up to semis confirmed. All right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Big smiles. All
I'm
right.
just laughing at the other side. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know something.
Yeah, we're going to
The other
talk about
side's
this
gonna
side.
take 2 seconds.
You thought LGD over WE, so LGD against IG.
Is this a question?
No,
Wait,
but hang on.
I want to hear Teddy.
Okay.
Teddy loves Long Xing.
He's thinking about it.
But that's the shy.
That's
The problem is that's the shy. If there's a other top lane, I can say that Langxing will beat him, but that's the shy. No one can beat the shy, I think, right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And if
Apart
they
from
put
Cube.
if they put Ballin on the starting roster, I think that's the whole IG again.
Okay.
And IG gonna get in the next round.
Yeah, I think dominant 3-0.
Oh, really?
IG's my
Favorite to win this whole thing. IG right now are actually the team that I think is
He's
going to
spoiling the
win.
semi-final
I-
talk already.
Well, it's fine. I think I'm just going to rub it in here.
Not really, but
yeah,
okay, you keep
I think
going.
honestly, I think IG will win. I think it's going to be with Baolan starting. I think the way that Ning and Baolan have been able to set up the Shy and Rookie has been so good. Now they've got an early game that they can play through where Baolan working in conjunction with Ning, invading on that top side, working with the pressure that Rookie has, being able to keep the Shy safe as well, which has been so crucial for this team.
Yeah.
I think IG right now, especially after that series against Top Esports, just look like the best team.
I will say. Sorry,
Used to
Teddy.
use Black Magic against Langxing. Maybe the shy will take like Lucian or
I will say that I think Peanut versus Ning is going to be a pretty fun matchup, although it might not always be directly interactive. While it might involve brawls in the bottom lane or but 3v3, 4v4s potentially. But no chance of LGD. Like, how would you see a way of LGD beating IG? Is it IG being
I can't imagine a world.
Can't imagine.
Okay.
No chance.
Unless IG throw it completely. It's
Unless-
IG's fault.
Unless they got disconnect during the game. Like maybe they disconnect.
Yeah.
And they can reconnect.
Yeah.
And the referee says, "Oh, you
Oh,
lost
you
the
lose.
game.
Yeah,
you
I
lose."
agree.
All right, gents.
Everyone's hands get really bad aches the day
Oh,
of it,
yeah.
and then they
Wrist
just can't use the
injury.
mouse, yeah.
Now,
Rookie got stomach ache. and-
Yes, yeah.
Rahel are playing like mid laner.
they,
And maybe
they bring
even-
Forge back in,
and maybe even that LGD still can win. Yeah.
Even with reheal mid lane, I agree.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think
Oh
this
my
is
Ricky are really good karma player. Or Lulu. Yeah, out mid lane. Yes, and maybe they will still win. What's the point?
I agree, dude. I'm all with Teddy on this one.
final question before we end the show, gents, because I like that. IG going to semis, V5 going to semis. That's what you're saying to me right now. And we will come back to this and we will address this. I want your favorite team for the whole bracket. You don't have to tell me if they make the glorious run, just a team that you're looking forward to, or you can allude to them being the ones to do the run. Dagny, you said IG.
Yeah, I'm jumping on your own bandwagon.
You've been on the IG hype train for a while, and
just
I'm jumping.
context. Teddy, I've said this. IG are going to win Worlds this year. I said that.
You said that.
I said that.
Okay. So there's gonna be like rookies Nico.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I want the shy pick Lucian this time.
Me too. I want the
Oh,
shot to be
yeah.
That's my favorite champion.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
You're saying
want the
that.
shy pick Lucian.
Hold
this
off
time.
your tattoo. Get Shy's Lucian on your arm.
I can make this arm too.
True.
Two Lucian.
Two Lucians. A double gun.
And
Yeah.
with another one, I can get 2-star Lucian.
Dagda, IG.
IG, I think they look super strong. Honestly, with the form they're in against top esports, I do not see any team that can beat them. And I'm not talking about just in LPL. I'm talking about globally. I think they have just taken on an entirely new form with Bellline coming back.
Because for IG, they're a team recently, like we saw them against Vici. I don't take much away from that series. I don't think many people do. That was actually just an absolute fiesta. Yeah, Z v Z. And, you know, Coma was having a laugh in the background as well. IG being there, you know, makes a lot of sense with their recent form. If IG's your favorite to watch, sir?
Come on, man.
V5?
V5. And the thing is, I think V5 plays League of Legends the way that I think is the best to play League of Legends.
You are
I am a true believer. Again, like, to me, they have the best teamwork in LPL playoffs. Like, the thing is, should they beat teams like Top Esports and IG? No. But that's because Top Esports and IG have players like Rookie and Knight. Not because IG and Top Esports are better teams. But V5, again, the way they bring together mid, jungle, and support is fucking beautiful.
They are just like Spurs in NBA. Like, no superstar.
Yeah.
But still play
But
as a
still
team.
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, V5. Teddy, your team. What is your team?
Can I pick Genji? Oh no.
You're not on LCK
Multi-region caster. This isn't a POG state.
For me, it's gonna be IG too.
IG?
It's gonna be IG because I predict IG get me Worlds final.
Oh, okay.
The final.
So you went as far as I did, but
No,
did they,
he thinks LCK is going to
you
win the
think
world title.
LCK
Maybe Genji's gonna be IG.
Oh my god.
But
Why did you bring him on?
but yeah, IG. I will pick IG.
IG, okay. At least you took him as far as one. To be fair, though, I've said this just off a tangent that I still believe in my heart that LCK is second best region because of the depth of talent of players, and because even though they haven't made it to a World's Final in a couple of years, I still honestly believe watching LCK is just some of the best plays
Yes.
within the region versus like LEC. I think match LPL nicely, but just not as good.
And for that, a lot of young Korean players
Yeah.
are playing PUBG right now.
Oh, well, okay.
There's
Well, that's
not that much new talent.
that's the problem.
Yeah, because they are really good in PUBG right now. Korea are good in PUBG too. So
Okay.
not that much young
So
talent.
people
are
going to play
playing.
PUBG, other people modeling. You know, no one wants to be with League of Legends.
Only
anymore.
Mitsuki modeling.
Only Mitsuki. No, but other players will go and join. Rookie will see it and he'll go and join.
Okay.
You know, Rookie will say, "Oh, get more money, maybe modeling instead of playing some League of Legends." But yeah, that's all the time we have. Time for at this point. Glad to get your favorites in here as well. We will reconvene hopefully for the semi-finals chat. I pulled up a piece of paper while you're having a chat. I was looking at the standings for playoff gauntlet. Now, of course, anyone out there who doesn't know, we have a regional finals straight after our grand finals. At the moment, JDG, Top Esports, IG, and FPX are guaranteed in regionals. I did want your 2 cents onto regionals just quickly. We are going to talk about it fully in the next episode. Before we finish, is there a team that you think like will get into regionals and maybe doesn't deserve it, or do you think there's someone who makes like a miracle run for the 4th seed at this point before you see playoffs come through? Is it your LGD?
We already picked LGD. That's my 5th.
You think so? You think quarters for LGD, and then they get enough points, and then they go through as
Yeah.
regionals.
And they go through all the way.
Okay, because you know I will challenge us again next time when we come back for the next episode. You know, I'll come through and I'll say whether you're here or not, Teddy. I'll say I'll put your face up. I'll say LGD for the 4th seed.
Waiting for the Diana champion skin.
Yeah, the God v champion skin. Jordan, just quickly.
I think the two teams who are going to make it through regionals are JDG and V5.
Okay, good. Well, JDG actually, if they
Well, no,
get
because
towards,
I think finals is going to be TS versus IG. I think IG is going to win, and you know those two teams. You're baiting us talking about what we should be
know.
talking about later.
I know. I just wanted your 2 cents. That's nice though.
Yeah, same as Jordan. I think that's the way to
What about LGD?
Come on, no,
I think we are on LGD side.
I was, but then as the split went on, I kind of.
He
You
plays-
change your mind.
He plays both sides.
You are not the true
know-
believer of LGD.
You know why I ask you this now? Because I want it on record before we come back to the show so we can reference it. And so I can call you out if need be, right? Or make you look like gods. Either way, there's no fairness with me. Actually, there is fairness with me. Ladies and gentlemen, though, thank you so much for tuning in. A big thank you to Teddy who came on.
Thanks
You
for
know.
asking.
No,
Thanks
no.
for
Hey,
inviting,
always.
man.
Sir, and we'll get you on the English broadcast next year as well. 'Cause I feel like you really suit the show.
He's only doing 2 regions. You need to, or we need to add another.
2.5,
broadcast, yeah.
Chinese broadcast, English broadcast, LCK as well. Put him back on LCS. No, don't. LCS would probably kill you. Big thank you to Teddy once more. Lyric, Dagda, myself, Hysterics. We will be with you next time. Playoff preview show will continue for semi-finals and beyond. But until then, it's bye for now, but not forever. See you next time.